Hello everyone, welcome back to Virtual Story Time. It's great to be with you again. Let's do our hello song and then we'll talk a little bit about the books we're going to read. Make the sign for hello and make the sign for friends. Hello friends, hello friends, hello friends, it's time to read a book. Nice. It's a beautiful sunny day here. I hope it is where you are or from where you're watching. Today, let's read some books about some quiet pets. For example, maybe some fish. They're pretty quiet, right? Turtles, pretty quiet. Penguins. Who ever heard of a penguin as a pet? Let's check out some books about those things. So today, the first story is called Not Norman, a goldfish story, and it's by Kelly Bennett, illustrated by Noah Z. Jones. Not Norman, a goldfish story. Do any of you have goldfish at your house? Or a fish tank with any kind of fish in it? They're pretty quiet, right? Okay, Not Norman. When I got Norman, I didn't want to keep him. I wanted a different kind of pet, not Norman. I wanted a pet who could run and catch, or one who could climb trees and chase strings, a soft, furry pet to sleep on my bed at night, not Norman. All Norman does is swim around and 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 around. This is it, Norman, I decide. I'm trading you for a good pet. Norman doesn't move. Not even a fin twitches. How can I trade him like this? No one will want a sorry-looking fish in a gunky bowl. Can you see how the bowl's getting on? When I drop Norman into his nice clean bowl, he starts dipping and flipping, flapping his fins around. He looks so goofy, I have to laugh. Don't think that just because you made me laugh, I'm going to keep you, I tell him. Tomorrow, you're out of here. Norman blows a stream of bubbles. The next day, I take Norman to school with me. If I talk him up real good during show and tell, maybe someone will want him. On the way there, we see my friend Austin. Austin has a real cool dog and 7 puppies. Want to swap one of your pups for Norman? I ask. Who's Norman? Asks Austin. My goldfish, I say. Huh, by the time I rescue Norman, half his water is gone. I'm sorry, I tell Norman when we get to school. I'm really sorry. He just stares at me all googly-eyed. Look, he's using the drinking fountain to fill up the fishbowl. Finally, it's my turn to show and tell. Just as I start to talk about goldfish, Emily shouts, "Jenny's gone! Who let my snake loose?" Wah! Does anyone hear the story of how I got Norman? Does anyone even ask to hold his bowl? No. They're all jumping and screaming and chasing the snake. Not Norman. He's looking right at me. Thanks for listening, I tell him. That afternoon, we go to my music lesson. As soon as it's over, I'm taking Norman back to the pet store. I take out my tuba and begin to play. Boom, ba, boom, 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 bee. I glance over at Norman. He's swaying back and forth. Glue, 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 glug, he mouths. Look, Norman's singing, I say. Pay attention, snaps Maestro, and try to play the proper notes. Maestro makes me stay for extra practice. By the time my lesson is over, it's too late to go to the pet store. Don't think that just because you like my music, I'm going to keep you, I tell Norman. He glugs. That night, I'm sound asleep when screech, screech. What's that noise? Scratch, scratch, screech. Yikes, there's something at the window. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spot Norman. He isn't scared. He isn't swimming around in circles either. He glugs and gives me a little wave. I'm not alone. Together, Norman and I slide open the curtains. It was just a broken tree branch. Thanks for watching out for me, Norman. On Saturday, I take Norman to the pet store, just like I said I would. I look at the cats and dogs and snakes and birds. I look at the hamsters and mice and lizards too. They all look like good pets, but they are not Norman. When I got Norman, I wasn't sure I wanted to keep him. But now, even if I could pick any pet in the whole world, I wouldn't trade him. Not Norman. So, not Norman became a beloved pet, didn't he? So there is now, sometimes when somebody writes a book, they write a sequel to the book. It means like the story continues. And Kelly Bennett has written a sequel to Not Norman, and this is called Norman One Amazing Goldfish. So let's see how the continuing story of Norman plays out. Okay, here we've got Norman in the tank, and Norman is one amazing goldfish, and I want everyone to know it. That's why I'm taking him to Pet-O-Rama, some kind of celebration. We have our routine all worked out. First, Norman does his tricks, circles, then bubbles, then flips. So it looks like when he goes like this and this, the fish goes in circles, bubbles, then flips. And for our big finish, we learned a brand new tuba song. Hit it, Norman, I say, and I begin to play boom, 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 boom. Right on cue, Norman starts dancing and singing. Glug, 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 glug. Add a fish, Norman, I cheer. Just wait until everyone sees you. You'll be famous. On Pet-O-Rama Day, I wake up extra early. I don't want to admit it, but I am sort of nervous. Not Norman. He gobbles every bite of his breakfast. The Pet-O-Rama line is super long. There are dogs, cats, birds, rabbits, snakes, and a lot of other animals. Most of the kids are wearing costumes. So are their pets. I look at Norman. His orange scales glisten. You're so sparkly, you don't need a costume, do you, Norman? He shoots me a high fin. Once we're signed up, Norman and I go into the gym. Right away, we spot Ben and Dylan with their dog, Mustard. Hiya, Mustard does karate, Dylan says. What does your fish do? Lots of tricks, I say. Hey, fish, Ben calls. Show us a trick. Norman doesn't move. Not even a fin flutters. Dylan and Ben laugh. Petorama is for good pets, says Ben, not fish. Norman is amazing, I tell them. You'll see. Here are the judges holding up their numbers to score for the parrots routine. One by one, the judges call pets onto the stage. All the pets look good, and many do tricks, but not any better than Norman's. Just wait until they see our act, I whisper. We'll show 'em, won't we? Norman spits a mouthful of gravel. When our number is called, I carry Norman onto the stage. The gym looks really big and crowded. That nervous feeling is back again, big time. I glance over at Norman. Under the stage lights, his scales and fins are as sparkly as any costume. Just looking at him makes me feel better. I take a deep breath. Introducing Norman, one amazing goldfish, I announce. For our first trick, just as we practice, I circle my finger in the wings. A poodle in a tutu twirls. My mistake, I say, trying hard to keep my voice steady. Ready, set, bubbles. Bubbles, a parrot squawks. Not Norman. He doesn't blow even one tiny blip. Come on, Norman. This is an easy one. How's about a flip? 1, 2, 3. My hands are shaking so hard I barely manage a snap. Up! Norman hides behind his plant. Uh-oh. I can feel everyone watching, waiting. I give Norman a look, a hard look. His fins and flippers are quivering like crazy. That's when it hits me. Norman isn't being stubborn. He has stage fright too. Oh no, poor Norman. Don't be scared, I whisper. Ignore them and watch me. Let's do this together, Norman, just like at home, okay? I take out my tuba. Hit it, Norman, I call. Then I close my eyes and I give it my best. Boom, 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 bee. I'm starting in on the second section when Ben and Dylan shout, "Hey everybody, look!" When I open my eyes, the first thing I see is Norman! He isn't lying on the bottom of his fishbowl. He isn't hiding behind his plant either. Norman is flip-flop, wiggle-wag dancing like crazy and singing, glug, 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 glug. Then Norman performs every trick perfectly, just as we practiced. Circles, bubbles, flips. Add a fish, Norman, I cheer. The Pet-O-Rama judges give Norman a prize. It's like I always say, Norman is one amazing goldfish. Two books about Norman the goldfish. Let's do a little song about fishing. We'll do it a couple times. Hopefully you've heard it before, but if not, you can get it on the second time around. Can you make your hands into as if you're holding a fishing pole and pretend to fish? Have you ever gone fishing on a bright and sunny day, with all the little fishes swimming up and down the bay, with your hands in your pockets and your pockets in your pants? All the little fishies do the hoochie coochie dance. Yeah, all the little fishies do the hoochie coochie dance. You got it? Let's try it. Here, I'll put on my own little Norman here. Got it? All righty. fishing pole. Have you ever gone fishing on a bright and sunny day, with all the little fishies swimming up and down the bay? With your hands in your pockets and your pockets in your pants, and all the little fishies do the hoochie coochie dance. Yeah, all the little fishies do the hoochie coochie dance. Nice. There we go. Say, see ya, Norman. So let's do another book. This time about another quiet pet, a turtle. And this is a book called Truman, written by Jean Wrighty and illustrated by Lucy Ruth Cummins. Truman. Truman was small, the size of a donut, a small donut, and every bit as sweet. Looks like he likes to eat donuts, doesn't it? He lived with his Sarah, high above honking taxis and growling trash trucks and shrieking cars, and the number 11 bus, which traveled south. Looks like Truman and Sarah live in a pretty big city, right? Truman never honked or growled or shrieked at anything or anybody. He was peaceful and pensive, just like his Sarah. One day, Sarah ate a big banana with her breakfast, clipped a blue bow in her hair, and buttoned up a brand new sweater. She strapped on a backpack so big 32 small tortoises could ride along in it, but 0 tortoises did. Where do you think she's going? Sarah placed 7 green beans in Truman's dish, 2 more than usual. She kissed her finger and touched it to his shell and whispered, "Be brave." Then she left. Not to worry, she'd left before, and she'd always returned. But this time, that backpack was particularly big, and Sarah looked particularly pensive. And that banana, and that bow, and let's not forget about those extra beans. What can all this mean? That's when Truman saw something he'd never seen before. Sarah boarding the number 11 bus going south. The bus roared away. Truman waited for Sarah to return. He waited and waited. He waited 1,000 hours, well, tortoise hours, that is, until he could wait no longer. He would go after his Sarah. He would catch the number 11 south, even amid the honking and the growling and the shrieking, even if it seemed impossible. Here he is walking. Oh, bonk. He bonked his head on the glass of his tank. That's when he noticed the rocks. 3 rocks that had always been there. Ordinary rocks that now seemed extraordinary. 1, 2, 3. What did they allow him to do? They allowed him to climb right out. And the arm of the couch and the pillow propped just right, and that tall, tall boot and the rug, that glorious, endless rug Without Sarah, their home seemed vast and uncharted and unsettling. Seems so big. Truly unsettling. Some of those toys, they look a little frightening when you're just a tiny little turtle the size of a small donut. But perhaps most unsettling was that Truman could no longer see the taxis or the trash trucks or the cars or the number 11 bus. Which way was south anyway? He could no longer see out the window, right? Now the sun hung low like Truman's head and heart. Just then, what does he see or hear? Oh, and then, vroom, screech, whoosh, up floors and under doors. Truman heard it. A bus. It was time to catch the number 11 south. Amid the honking and the growling and the shrieking, yet standing there in that ray of light, Truman felt peaceful and pensive and brave. But just as he was about to slip under the door, through that opening barely the size of a small tortoise, here the door opens. Sarah! She spotted him, shining like the sun. Truman, she cried. She scooped him up and said things like, oh my goodness, and you, and how did you ever, and amazing. Sarah kissed her finger and touched it to his shell and tucked him safely back into his tank, where he was peaceful and pensive and proud. And later, just before bedtime, she read him a story. Look, she wrote a story about Truman. Now Truman knew that one day soon he and his Sarah might travel south, show and tell, to see new sights and hear new sounds and think new thoughts. Maybe Sarah could bring him to school with her for show and tell together. Isn't that a nice book? I like that book about Truman the turtle, the tortoise. Let's do a little song-ish thing about a turtle. You see my box? You see the rocks in it? You see a little turtle? Let's try this. This is a little turtle puppet. There we go. There was a little turtle who lived in a box. He swam in the puddles and he climbed on the rocks. He snapped at the mosquito. He snapped at the flea. He snapped at the minnow. And he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito. He caught the flea. He caught the minnow. But he didn't catch me. Can you do that with me? There was a little turtle who lived in a box. He swam in some puddles and he climbed on the rocks. He snapped at a mosquito. He snapped at a flea. He snapped at a minnow and he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito. He caught the flea. He caught the minnow, but he didn't catch me. Cute. Should we name him Truman too? Have fun in your box, Truman. Oh, well, thanks for doing those songs with me and reading those stories. Shall we do one more? There's one more kind of silly story, and it is about a penguin. I don't think too many of us have penguins as pets, right? That wouldn't be too good. This is called One Cool Friend, and it's by Tony Buzeo, but the pictures are by David Small. And you remember last week we read Imogene's Antlers and Imogene Comes Back, and those books were by David Small. So these pictures are by the same man that wrote Imogene's Antlers, wrote and illustrated. All right. Elliot was a very proper young man. At the aquarium, Elliot's father settled on a bench to read his National Geographic. "Have some fun, Elliot," he said. So Elliot did. He skipped the mobs of kids at the giant saltwater tank and amazing jellies display and hands-on tide pool exhibit. At the end of the hall, he discovered penguins. In their tidy black feather tuxedos with their proper posture, they reminded Elliot of himself. They stand up straight, they've got these little tuxedo. Even Ferdinand Magellan looked like his kind of guy. Ferdinand Magellan was an explorer back in the 1500s, and he discovered one of the types of penguins, and that was named after him. So Elliot is kind of intrigued by penguins and by Ferdinand Magellan. At noontime, Elliot's father said, "Are you having fun?" "Yes, thank you," said Elliot. "May I please have a penguin?" "Sure," said his father, and handed over a $20 bill. And so here you can see some stuffed penguins like these guys. It says, "Today's special plush penguins, 1995. "Sure," his father said. "That's very kind," Elliot said, and he headed off. Elliot emptied the school notices from his backpack, selected the smallest penguin, and popped it inside. I don't think that's what his father meant. His father asked, "Where's your penguin?" "In my backpack," Elliot said. "Thanks for asking." In his room, Elliot dialed the air conditioner down to its coldest setting. "Maybe you'd like to skate?" Elliot asked. "Croc," said Magellan. Penguins, they need pretty cold environment, right? So Elliot dragged his old wading pool upstairs, then fed the garden hose through the kitchen window and turned on the faucet. "Forgive the inconvenience," he said as he passed his father's office. Soon the air conditioner had done its work. There they are, skating in the pool in his room. Later, Elliot knocked on the door of his father's office. "I have some research to do at the library about Magellan. When I was in 3rd grade, I got Captain Cook. He was another famous explorer," his father said. "Where did you keep him?" Elliot asked. But his father had already returned to charting the changing boundaries of the Great Barrier Reef. Sometimes when you're in school, you have reports to do about famous people. So the father thinks he has a report to do about the explorer Magellan. Elliot and Magellan rode to the library. When Elliot set him on the librarian's desk, Magellan held completely still. Ms. Stanbridge didn't blink an eye, even when Magellan blinked his. She helped them access www.penguinsonice.com, copy pages from Antarctic Anecdotes, and borrow Best Behavior for Birds. On the way home, Elliot stopped for 8 bags of ice and a snack. Luckily, his father's $20 bill was just enough to cover it. "How did the research go?" Elliot's father asked him from behind an atlas. great. Magellan was perfect, Elliot said. Just like Captain Cook, his father said. Elliot read his library book aloud while Magellan cooled down. There he is on top of the ice bags. They shared a bag of goldfish crackers, but Magellan was still hungry. May I please bake frozen pizzas for supper? Elliot asked. That's nice of you, his father said. But the only flavor we have left is anchovy. Perfect, Elliot said. Magellan loves them. That evening, Elliot heard his father rummaging for ice cream. Luckily, Magellan had politely moved the carton to the front of the freezer shelf. Magellan's sitting there in the freezer. Unfortunately, Magellan forgot his manners overnight. When Magellan awoke, he was longing for a swim. Elliot drew him a deep tub of cold water. He left Magellan diving and holding his breath. He made a mess with that freezer, didn't he? I think I'll have a bit of a soak, Elliot's father announced. Wait, Elliot said. I left my penguin in there. I'll set him on the hamper and do my best not to splash. Elliot! Elliot rushed to the door. I think his father was a little surprised to find a real penguin in there. What do you think? Young man, where did this penguin come from? Elliot's father demanded. The southern tip of Argentina, Elliot said. That's right, his father said. As for Captain Cook, he added, he came from Galapagos Islands. Isn't that silly? One cool friend. Do you think you guys could pretend you're a penguin? If I stand up, I'll kind of half stand. Can you put your hands out like that and waddle like a penguin? There you go. All right. I'll sit back down so we can see. Okay. Let's do this song. And have you ever seen a penguin? A penguin, a penguin. Have you ever seen a penguin waddle this way and that? Okay. Have you ever seen a penguin, a penguin, a penguin? Have you ever seen a penguin waddle this way and that? Waddle this way and that way and this way and that way. Have you ever seen a penguin waddle this way and that? Cool. You guys can practice being penguins when you're playing with your friends or playing with your sisters and brothers. Yeah. You know what? I forgot to do zoom, zoom. Shall we do that right now? Hands together. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon. If you want to take a trip, climb aboard my rocket ship. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Nice. I wonder if there are any quiet pets for astronauts or anybody on the moon. Who knows? Who knows? Thanks for reading with me this week, and I'll see you next week. I still miss you. Let's do our goodbye song. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. See you next time.